Hello, everybody, and welcome to an emergency podcast, the PHLY Eagles podcast, live from the Xfinity Mobile Studios and presented by Dudat Dental and TrueMark Financial Credit Union, Bo Wulf, and joined by the king himself, the king of Switzerland, Brandon Lee Gowton of Bleeding Green Nation, and we are here, BLG, to talk about a surprise Sunday trade by Howie Roseman, the Eagles acquiring another former first or second round pick, hitting that kink that Howie has. This time, it's John Metchie III, DeVonta Smith's former teammate at Alabama, adding to the wide receiver group. How you doing? Thank you for joining us today.
Glad to be here with you, Bo. I think the big question on everyone's mind is this the new Ryan Bates for Eli Harold disaster that Howie Roseman made in the past? I think Eagles fans hope not.
You know how to make me smile, because that is a very good question. The full terms here, the Eagles sending Harrison Bryant, and oh my gosh, what a kick to the gonads here for the audience at PHLY, because we are 2 days away from what I have on my calendar marked as Harrison Bryant Day. I don't remember why that is. Someone will have to remind me, but we are 2 days away. What if it had been on Harrison Bryant Day? But the Eagles sending away Harrison Bryant and a 5th round pick to the Texans for John Metchie and a 6th round pick. And BLG, you're telling me that this is just both teams recovering their picks from the CJ Gardner-Johnson, Kenyon Green deal.
Yeah, absolutely. So originally, right, the Eagles send CJ Gardner-Johnson and their 6th round 2026 pick to the Texans in exchange for Kenyon Green and the Texans 2026 5th round pick. And now we're just reversing that. So it ends up basically being that the Eagles send out CJ GJ and Harrison Bryant. In return, they get Kenyon Green and John Metchie. So what a blockbuster of a deal right there.
Huge. Absolutely huge. So if you are unfamiliar with John Metchie, 2nd round pick out of Alabama in 2022, missed his entire rookie season battling leukemia and came out through to the other side, has played in the NFL the last 2 years with the Texans. And the numbers for a 2nd round pick are a little bit uninspiring. 2023, 16 catches for 158 yards. Last year, 24 catches for 254 yards, 10.6 yards per reception. If you look at the advanced numbers in yards per route run, he was 91st out of 119 last year at 1.05 yards per route run. Spent most of his time in the slot, about 55% of the time. So here's my question to you, BLJ. Of all of the Eagles wide receivers that we have right now, who does this trade tell you the most about? Is it AJ Brown? Maybe they're a little bit worried about what injury he's dealing with. Is it DeVonta Smith? They just love DeVonta Smith so much they want to get him one of his buddies. Is it Jahan Dotson? This is a competition for Jahan Dotson. Maybe they like Metchie more in the slot. Or is this a shot at take your pick of Johnny Wilson, Anaya Smith, Darius Cooper, maybe even Terrace Marshall? Whose spot do you feel like Metchie is affecting the most here?
Yeah, on the DeVonta Smith point, I was looking up the Eagles roster currently has 7 players who finished their career at Alabama. So add in Jalen Hurts, that's 8.
Okay.
I don't know. I can't think off the top of my head if there are others who started at Alabama and didn't finish, but if there are, then there's even more. But there's at least 9 players, if we're including Metchie in here, who played for Alabama. So that's almost 10% of the Eagles 90-man roster. That's pretty funny. So here we go. Or it is not 10%. I'm not great with math, so don't make me do that. Anyway, to answer your question, they barely gave up anything to get this guy, right? I mean, Harrison Bryant, I don't think anyone had him on their 53-man roster. He wasn't making the team. By the way, Kenyon Green might not make the team. So really, both of the pieces in this deal, or multiple players in this deal, it is a surprising trade, right? Like, I don't think anyone was like, they need more receiver depth. We've seen my guy, thank you for giving me credit for it, Darius Cooper.
We have right now combined the 2 biggest Darius Cooper fans, I believe.
That's right.
Yeah.
I would hope you'd make the team, because I don't think you want to give up on that or expose that guy to waivers. I would not take that chance. Maybe it's Anaya Smith from a standpoint of, I know he's had the touchdowns in the preseason games. I don't think he's really been that great on offense, specifically in practice. I don't think he's been like a must-keep kind of player. I don't think the upside of Anaya Smith has been anything exciting at any point that we've seen. And you look at Metchie, and he kind of profiles more as like that slot kind of player. And it's funny they acquired him too, because this is a guy that I think a lot of people are talking about last offseason before they made the Dotson trade that would kind of, be interested in as that third receiver. And they get him now instead. And it's a little curious.
I agree with you. What I wonder now is, we're coming off of the preseason game yesterday. Is it possible that one of those guys got hurt?
Yes.
And Johnny Wilson started that game and then didn't really play after the first series or so. And if you think about what we know about John Metchie, like part of the selling point of John Metchie is that he's good at the dirty work stuff, right? He is an overachiever and all of that stuff. I'll even read you. Fran Duffy was kind enough to send along his scouting report from when Metchie was coming out. Here's what he says. He says, as I pull it up, you know what? I had this already.
This is live podcasting,
and the Apple, the text thing is not cooperating. I have it. I clicked on it. It's just not going. So now I'll read from my phone. 2-year starter on the outside for the Tide, stepping into the lineup after the Jalen Waddle injury in 2020. Has modest size and physical tools, but he hangs his hat on being tough as nails and outworking defenders from snap to whistle. He's not a burner, but he plays pretty well through contact, and he really improved as a route runner as a junior. I don't see a high-level starter because he's just okay at the catch point and isn't dynamic with the ball, but I think he has a bright future in the slot. This is a solid possession receiver who can work in the quick and intermediate area with some downfield work mixed in. Profiles as a solid number 3 receiver with ceiling as an average starter, but I see more of a role player when it's all said and done. So, that is, I don't know, that is on my radar as maybe this is, it's total speculation. But if Johnny Wilson were to have gotten hurt yesterday, this is the kind of player who could fill that specific role.
Yeah, it did strike me as a little curious that the Eagles are just resting Johnny Wilson. It's all right, he's locked up. We can't possibly risk injury to Johnny Wilson at this point. So I think that's fair to highlight there. I was wondering if Metchie had returning experience. He did in my head because I'm kind of slot guy.
Sure.
Those guys typically return the ball at some point. He never really did that in college or the NFL here. I was even looking back at his preseason stats to see that. There's a couple kick returns mixed in there, but not in a big way at all. So you're not really getting the returner value here. I thought that might be the injury that since the Eagles don't have a clear-cut punt returner, assuming they don't want to use Cooper DeJean, which I don't think they primarily want to use at this point here. So it's a little curious is all.
Well, it's funny because I was thinking I probably feel better about the Eagles wide receiver depth heading into the season than I have in a long time.
Yeah.
I actually think that listen, Jahan Dotson has not produced at the level that you would want, but as a number 3 receiver, there's some upside there. Darius Cooper, I think, is really, really a nice flyer and has some upside. Johnny Wilson does what he does and gives you a specific thing. And if you wanted to keep 6, it could be a Nia Smith, or if you really like Terrace Marshall, which I think the ship is probably sailed there. But I think that this is as good as they have felt about their wide receiver depth beyond the top 2 in a while. So it does kind of feel like, I don't know, maybe we're missing something here.
And then that's not even to mention Elijah Cooks, who has obviously been hurt since the first preseason game, but looked really good. And at least maybe, that's someone you could have on the practice squad and isn't, so much as an upside guy as much as they're dealing with multiple injuries at that position. And maybe they just kind of want some kind of competency there and maybe you can offer that. So it's just weird. Yeah. Cause I don't think anyone is they need to add more at wide receiver. I don't think anyone is saying that.
One thing I don't know is, and I wasn't able to figure out the answer to this in the few minutes before we started, is whether Metchie's first year counted against his rookie contract. So I don't know if he has team control beyond this season on his rookie contract, or if this is the final year of his rookie deal because Dotson's is expiring.
Right.
Could be a marginal factor here. But yeah, I mean, the fact is we're talking about a day 3 pick swap and Harrison Bryant. That should tell you the expectations you should have for John Metchie here. What will you remember most fondly about the Harrison Bryant era?
Well, I'm going to certainly be really upset that we didn't get to hear the podcast. I mean, that was marked on my calendar. I think the Eagles are probably sabotaging you here. So that's tough for PHLY.
I mean, imagine if they had just waited 2 days to make it on that day. That would have been amazing.
That would have been, that'd been a really good bit by Howie and really just further confirm that he listens to the podcast. But I can't really think of a single thing other than he lost out to Kylan Granson in what I'm guessing is the 3rd tight end battle. You
think it will be Granson over Jenkins?
I do. I know Jenkins, your training camp cuss, your one and only from last year.
That's right.
But he also got a little banged up, but I think he came back into the game. Just haven't seen a ton out of Jenkins this summer. I think it's fair to point out, you guys have talked about maybe he does a little bit, some more of the dirty work things that wouldn't be appreciated as much as Kylan Granson's flashed a little bit more as a pass catcher specifically. And he kind of, maybe that's a little, you already have some of that with Grant Calcaterra. But I do think Granson will be that guy. I do think it's funny to think back to how Kylan Granson and Harrison Bryant came to Philly probably not thinking Dallas Goedert was going to be back. And all of a sudden the Eagles bring him back and it's like, well, great. Now where's my role?
You're absolutely right. All right, I want to look up and see if Jalen Hurts ever would have thrown to John Metchie. I think maybe Metchie was the year after. Jalen left in 18. Yeah, Metchie started in 19, so they did not overlap. He was throwing to Grant Calcaterra that year instead.
We trust him. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I think we've hit everything we need to hit here, BLG. Last question for you. What do you think is like the most impressive thing about Cliff? We want to love up Cliff here on this show. What's your favorite thing about Cliffy too?
Wow, you're really trying to? Are you trying? Is this sabotage? Is this a trick question somehow?
No, I just want to show him love. I feel like he doesn't get the love that he deserves. I want to make sure that he gets it.
Oh yeah, okay. So you're doing the recruitment thing here through me. I think Cliff is just really good. I think he's like one of the best hype mans you could ever ask for.
Great vibe guy, yeah.
The first time I ever met Cliff in person was before a Phillies game earlier this year. And like within, I don't know, a couple of seconds of meeting him, he's like, "I'm getting us shots." I'm like, "Awesome, that's great, that's great. I love it. Let's do it." So yeah, Cliff's the man.
All right, well, Cliff, anytime you want to like tour the PHLY studios, you let me know. We'll give you some shots. Come on over anytime you want. Open invitation. Just throwing that out there. Okay, that's all we got. Emergency podcast for you. Brandon Lee Gowton. Tell the people where they can find you, where they can, get their share of BLG.
That's right. That's bleedinggreennation.com. And then just, I guess if you're on a social media platform, Blue Sky's a good one. You can just search Brandon Lee Gowton and you should be able to find me there.
What a king. Thank you so much, BLG. We'll be back with our regularly scheduled show tomorrow at 2:00. That's it. The Eagles trade for John Metchie. Let us know what you think about the trade in the comments. We're here for you on a Sunday. So the least we can ask is to like the video, comment, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. We will talk to you tomorrow. Thank you to Ethan for making it happen. And as always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.